I'm Jack Watson, UI UX designer, illustrator, animator, donut connoisseur, and today we're going to be making infographics. I see a bunch of people already joining in the chat. Let me know if you're joining on YouTube or on Behance, or if you're watching the replay, what your favorite pizza toppings are. Wade in our chat, our moderator, saying jalapenos, mushrooms, black olives, mostly any meats. You like a lot of toppings, and everybody's asking when they can expect delivery. Well, we will have a pizza, or at least pizza infographic, in exactly 1 hour. So let's jump into it. Let's hop over to my screen. So I have a bunch of examples up on my screen of infographics that I've done in the past. So I wanted to give you an idea of what an infographic is, what they look like, how to use them, different ones that I've done. So to get started, infographics are kind of a way to display or communicate complex data or information about a topic. Usually it's a lot of information. They can, and they can feel a little bit intimidating if you're a designer when you haven't worked on one before. There's a lot of data to organize into a composition. So I've got a couple of examples here. This is kind of a fun project that I did in a past life as a medical illustrator about bronchopulmonary dysplasia. Bronchopulmonary, so of relating to the lungs, and then dysplasia, a little knowledge for you. Dysplasia means like disease involving like abnormal cells. In this case, premature babies or anybody that's on a ventilator for long term. It can do damage to your lungs, and that damage can cause kind of like abnormal cell growth. So that's what this infographic here is about. So you can see there's a lot of data that you're kind of sharing with the viewer, and it's a way to kind of present complex data in a way that's a little bit more digestible. Infographic, the graphic side of things, means you're kind of graphically representing this data, which involves a little bit of like data visualization, kind of picking the right kind of charts to display which kind of information, which we're going to get into a little bit. And there's lots of books and lots of websites on this topic. Unfortunately, I don't have any links handy about, data visualization, but we'll discuss that here in a sec. So you can see there's illustrated elements. There's some more like strictly like data, charts and graphs kind of things. But then there's some more kind of like abstract where we're showing kind of like bits of information, these are oxygen levels changing, etc. So here's kind of one example. And the other thing I want to talk about is that when you create an infographic, you actually are creating a whole bunch of different little illustrations that can actually be used in multiple, they can be kind of reconstructed and reorganized and reused and picked apart to be used on like social channels. So like a lot of times you'll see like a carousel post where you've got like individual pieces of information that might have been a part of a larger infographic that can get shared. So you can take all these out and kind of like separate them into individual pieces. Lots of pizza chat is happening. Peter says, what an exciting project. Oh, thanks. But if it's a calzone, is it not toppings anymore, right? It's more like innards. That's very true. It depends on the type of pizza. And we're going to talk about different types of pizza. I recently moved back to Chicago, and so that's kind of one of the things that kind of spurred this discussion. So here's another example. I tried to pick ones that weren't so graphic that I did for AOMS, the Association of Maxillofacial Surgeons. So this one is, again, this is more patient education. So you can use these kind of graphics, infographics, as you've probably seen them in doctor's offices or dentist offices, kind of talking about conditions, etc. So this is a kind of another way of utilizing infographics. So I got a couple here. This one's a little bit more data driven. You can see we've got like a breakdown of like populations all the way from like worldwide, in the US, etc., and then down to like individual people. So there's lots of ways to kind of break apart this information in different use cases. So here's another example here. This is for a public transit company. They use infographics in their annual reports. So again, you can use them on social, you can use them in annual reports, you can use them for patient education. There's lots of different applications for kind of sharing information in this kind of visual and graphic style. So I just kind of pulled a couple examples for you. And they've reused these kind of graphics and changed them from year to year in their annual reports. All right, but let's get into it. You're here for the pizza, I know it. All right, so I did a little work beforehand because we're only here for an hour. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the colors. I picked some colors. I picked some fonts. My inspiration for this, like I said, was Chicago. So I grew up in Chicago and I recently moved back here. And Chicago's like a big topic of controversy in Chicago. What kind of pizza, what style of pizza is your favorite? Let me know if there's some Chicagoans in the chat, or if anybody in the chat has a particular style of pizza that they like. So these are some sort of like my mood board, I guess, sort of like visual representation of what I'm going for. These are actually specific pizza places, around where I grew up. And from there, I kind of started to play with colors and started to play with some type. And I made some toppings so that I made these toppings last night. And you'll laugh, I did it on my trackpad. So they're just using simple shapes. I was just hanging out, drawing on my laptop at the end of the day. So I made these yesterday because it could have taken me an hour just to make these little topping illustrations, honestly. And I wanted to get to the meat of the conversation, which is about how do you start and how do you approach creating an infographic? Like, where do you start with all of this? Anyways, I pulled some colors as well. I know that a lot of pizza stuff is really heavy and dark, and so I wanted to make something that was a little bit lighter, that felt a little bit lighter, which is why I'm leaning more towards this color palette. But let me know. I started kind of two color palettes based on kind of my inspiration over here. And you can see a little bit, Palermo's got a little bit of that light green going on. So, but yes, I did make, to answer your ClubNet, I did make these illustrations really, really easily, really, really quickly. We're going to make some pizzas today in Illustrator, so you'll be able to see my process for doing that. I wanted to have some toppings because I didn't want the whole stream to be about illustration. So, where do we get started? Alright, so where we get started is with our research. So I have put together this document of pizza facts. You can see a very creative name, pizza facts. And this is where chat can help me out. I wanted to come up with like a clever, fun little like title for this. So I have some pizza puns. You'll have to let me know which one you like. Or if you have a better one to kind of use as our title. So I thought like we could do need to know pizza facts or something like that. Slicing it up, or slice of life or something. Something to do with pizza slices. Circle of life. I didn't really know where I was going with that one. I just love the idea of like circle of life and pizza being a circle. Sometimes it's a square. Delivering the facts was also a good one. So let me know what you think of the titles. We're gonna pick one of these, or we're gonna pick one from the chat. Let me know. And then from there, I just kind of used my own internal knowledge to come up with every type of pizza I could, and like what the two kind of different styles, right? There's square cut or there's triangle cut. There's actually a couple different types of cuts, but we're sticking to kind of like the main cuts here. You got the triangle cut, pizzas. You got Neapolitan, New York, Chicago deep dish, Greek, California, New Haven, and Brazilian pizza are all circle pizzas that are cut into triangles. And then if you go down the list, then we've got square cuts. So we've got Chicago tavern style, or Chicago thin crust, depending on, in modern times, I believe they call it Chicago tavern style. That's what the cool kids are calling it these days. Detroit style pizza, Roman, Sicilian, St. Louis, Ohio Valley, which I didn't know was a thing, and I lived in Ohio, so I just learned about that one. And then Philadelphia tomato pie. So we got a couple options there. And then we get into the kind of statistics, right? I'm not going to go through all of these, but we're going to talk a little bit about them. We've got preferred pizza style, and when I'm coming up with these notes, I'm pulling out the statistics that I might want to use, and I'm also including like my sources, so I can always kind of go back and make sure that I'm, referencing those, not just kind of like pulling these out from, my brain. This one I did because I knew a little bit. These are kind of like, I knew a little bit about the styles of pizza, but then I've got like statistics here. So we've got, percentages of people and who prefer certain kinds of pizza, like different styles, whether or not people prefer triangle cut or square cut pizza. How do Americans eat their pizza? 1 in 9 prefer a knife and fork. So that was surprising to me. Popular pizza toppings, no surprise there. Pepperoni, sausage, mushroom, extra cheese. Most popular, and least popular, anchovies, jalapenos, pineapples, eggplants. So I grabbed a bunch of statistics. We're not going to use all of these, but this is generally how I would go about starting a project like this. And this is also how I would get, a project like this from a client. Usually we get an art manuscript or some kind of like document that has, copy and it has statistics. And sometimes they'll give you something and it'll be exactly how you expect it to be. They want it to be laid out, and the information is kind of organized how they want it to be. Sometimes they leave it up to me and they'll give me a bunch of statistics to kind of pull from and assemble how I want. But once I have all of this information, the next step kind of gets a little bit into more of the like, so I'm a UI UX designer. It gets kind of crosses over into like between graphic design and like user experience design a little bit. And that is laying out, I start to think about like, what is the order that I want people to kind of like ingest this information? Like, what are the most important statistics that I want to show? And, how do I kind of want to arrange it, the way that I want people to kind of like read through this information. So then I'm going to move this off to my other screen. We're going to hop back over and I'm going to start in Illustrator. We're going to do a little bit of Illustrator, a little bit of Express. Going to be kind of jumping back and forth. We'll use libraries to do so. But I love all these acute slices with a kawaii mascot. Another one bites the crust. Oh, I love that. I love that one, unicorn. Pepperoni Pony Express. These are great. Keep them coming. Who cut the cheese? Oh my gosh. Anyways, let's get into it. So what I like to do now is I'll start to block in like a composition just using some shapes. So we'll start up here and we're gonna create like, let's say we don't have a title yet, but most of my statistics are about like the styles of pizza or the structure of pizza, the assembly of pizza. We've got like toppings, we've got like triangles versus squares. So I think I'm going to focus on those facts and have that kind of be the topic for this. And so I'm actually going to start with a circle. Maybe we'll have like a big graphic at the top that talks about like the, I'll grab one of our colors. And maybe talks about the people's preferred pizza styles. Maybe that's what we're going to start with up here. So I'm just going to make like a circle, right? You can imagine that's going to be like a pie chart because it's like percentages of a pie. Pie charts are obviously perfect for pizzas because they're circles and it's a good way. You can use that to kind of represent a pizza, right? Visually. But our data is going to be, for the preferred pizza styles, going to be percentages. So percentages lend themselves really nicely to pie graphs or donut charts, anything that's going to show like a size differentiation between the different percentages is going to be a good way. Pie charts are also okay for showing percentages. You wouldn't really use something like a line chart or a line graph to show percentages, but so we're thinking maybe you're going to have a pie chart up there. We want to make sure we have our title, so I'm going to grab another section down here. I'm not being too precious. I just want to get like a good visual idea of like what my layout is going to potentially look like. So I'll label these two. Let's go here. Scale this up. And let me know about these fonts and colors. Are you liking them? Are you unsure? We'll say pizza styles pie chart. And these are really just pies. These are really just notes for myself. So that when I go back in here, I know what I was thinking. Make it a pizza chart and add toppings. I feel like there should be a pizza chart. There's a donut chart and a pie chart. There's no pizza chart. That's not like a thing. I don't think our title needs to be that big. We can pull that back a little bit. So there's just like, I'm just kind of blocking in the composition, right? So like this is going to be really like the first thing that I want people to see. It's going to be like tune them into like what the topic of this infographic is going to be about. It's going to be really, graphic and really kind of like interesting to look at. So we're going to start there. Then we're going to introduce the title. Then we're going to go down here to our next section. Best slice of life through thick and thin. The life of pie. Oh my gosh, chat, you are killing it. I love all of these. Over on YouTube, we've got Circle of Pizza, like that one too. Scrolling up in the chat, I'm just making sure I haven't missed any comments. Pie in the Sky. Oh, I like that one. Pie in the Sky, a little slice of heaven. Wade. In Pizza We Crust. Circle of Life is fun. Also, like Need to Know. I've seen Need to Know come up a few times. Look at people like that one. So there we go. All right, and then I think so we're talking about preferred pizza styles pie chart. We're gonna show the percentages of like what styles of pizza people like, and then we're gonna have the title, and then I think maybe this is where we get into like maybe a breakdown of the different styles of pizza. And I don't really know what that looks like yet, but we're gonna say like break down pizza style, some kind of graphic or something that kind of shows the different styles of pizza. But then we're going to get right back into our statistics. So we've got like some stats up here, the title, and then we've got like a little bit of information. And then we're going to go, let's take a look at what we want to cover here. Then I think it'll be we can do like another percentage here. And maybe this time, we'll think about what kind of graph we want to do here. But we're going to do percentage. We'll do triangles versus squares. I think that's a good way to kind of flow. So we can even kind of visually, so it'll flow from like the preferred styles. We'll talk about the styles. The styles would be kind of maybe organized like into columns with one side showing the what's the word I'm looking for? The triangle cut, one side showing the square cut, and then we can actually have like some kind of visualization or some kind of, maybe it can even just be like a bar graph, like a horizontal bar graph or something like that. And then we're gonna go here. Let me think, what do I want to show next? Well, I want to include my toppings. So we're going to include our toppings on our pizza pie chart. But I think it would be fun if we're thinking like macro down to micro, the way we're kind of like going down this chart or this infographic, like starting large and then breaking it down into smaller, like more detail-oriented bits of information. I think maybe we go to like something with the pizza toppings next. Raphael's like, stop. Important question. We make American pizzas or original Italian pizza? Well, that's what we're talking about. Yes, there's so many things to discuss when it comes to pizza, and people have like strong opinions about like styles of pizza, which is, so I've got actually down here in some of my preferred, so the preferred pizza styles, I believe this data is from, this is from Americans. So I live in the US. So a lot of my pizza knowledge, and obviously I live in Chicago, a lot of my pizza knowledge comes from there. So unfortunately, a lot of my statistics are kind of based on that. But I would love to hear the kind of, pizzas that are popular kind of like worldwide. And I did get some, kind of worldwide statistics. Interestingly enough, preferred pizza styles in the US do include Sicilian. I didn't get, Roman is not here, but Roman is another style of pizza. That's another square cut style of pizza. And then I've also got, so I've got Sicilian, Roman, and then what's the other one I'm looking for? Neapolitan. So there are like some, and then I also included Brazilian, which is a really interesting pizza style. If you guys don't know anything about that, they include all kinds of like wild toppings on top of Brazilian pizza. So, but let me know. One of the things I found really interesting in my research is that Norway actually has the like largest consumption of pizza. Like Norway consumes the most pizza of all of the countries in the world. I don't know if it's just because like population size versus pizza consumption is just like a lot, but I don't know. I thought that was interesting. Roland is saying, I actually made a responsive animated pictorial bar chart about a week ago. Yeah, I've actually done some stuff using graphs like to do like interactive charts and stuff like that online, like on the websites. But all right, so I didn't kind of explain what I was doing here, but actually let's make it a little smaller. My idea here is, so I've got the pizza toppings. Where did I put them? The stats on pizza toppings, most popular and least popular. And I'm kind of thinking here, and let's do this. I'm gonna do a similar kind of a thing. I'm kind of thinking that we do something like this. We do like a ribbon. It's not gonna make sense until it does. But have something that kind of like flows from left to right. You know, sort of like if I draw a line, you'll kind of understand what I'm saying. I draw a line here. And honestly, this is how I work. I think people think that there's like a lot of making infographics is messy at first, right? You're kind of trying to, I think of this process as like sculptural. It's very sculptural to me. Making my art in Illustrator, making my or making these kind of like designs. I'm starting out very like heavy-handed with like blocks and like weird sketches that don't make any sense to anybody, and you're like, man, that doesn't look like you're, you know, sculpting anything, right? Like when you first start, you're like, that doesn't look like anything until you sort of start to chisel away at it, and then it makes sense. But so this part of the process is really just for me, but I want to share it with you because I think that people are intimidated by making infographics, but it's really not that scary. Just it's about like putting things down on the page and starting to like make sense of them, because like if you need to kind of like make sense and organize your thoughts and like how the information needs to kind of like be portrayed in order to tell the story, and then from there you can start to make the art. And don't be too precious about it. Like these are just boxes on the page. Like they're not like the end all and be all. I don't have to like live with these forever. I just need to kind of have a starting point to where I can organize my thoughts, right? And put something down on the page. All right, speaking of statistics about pizza consumption, I'm running to kind of like the end of my board here. Now with infographics, I think I have this set to 800 by 2000. That's a pretty standard size. With infographics, you have flexibility in terms of length because, I mean, this is going to be information primarily going to be displayed on the web. Oh, like I said, I've done like print ones before for like patient education kind of stuff. But anyways, you can also kind of you can extend the page, is what I'm trying to say. Sorry. I need to get my thoughts in order. It's hard to talk and work at the same time. Ooh, anchovies here. Oliver saying Norway's population isn't particularly high, so they must love pizza. Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like they're like really, there's like the pizza love is just concentrated in Norway. Popular tuna is the popular topping there where Keys lives. Wow, that's crazy. And Sweden too. Oh yeah, I didn't know that. Clever. Yeah, Norway and Sweden, I guess, makes sense. All right, so I've got a kind of a final box down here. Let me scroll through. So I've got this on my other screen, so I'm looking at it while I'm thinking about this. We've got a couple of options here. Maybe the chat can kind of help guide. We can either, I want to have like a more complex graph at the bottom, sort of like the most elaborate piece of information that people are kind of going to kind of walk away with. And so maybe you can kind of help guide my decision here, chat. We've got our pizza infographic is primarily about pizza styles right now, pizza styles and pizza construction. So do we end the sort of infographic with a breakdown, maybe like a bar graph or something of dipping sauce popularity? So we've gone from like overall pizza construction, crust type, styles, toppings, dipping sauce? Or do we go pizza styles, crusts, toppings, and then end with pizza sales? Let me know in the chat which kind of graph you want to end with. But I'm going to put down here for now while you decide. We'll do large graph. Well, not toppings. Either pizza sales or dipping sauces. Let me know. All right, so now we've got kind of like our basic organization here. I'm gonna pull up my layers panel. Oh, and I put everything on one layer. Shame on me. All right, I'm gonna cut all of this, and we're gonna say this layer here is gonna be like our assets, right? And we're going to say here, this is going to be like our infographic. Actually, we're going to call this guides. And you're going to see why in a second. So I'm going to group all of this. We're going to hide it. And I'm going to paste this in front. Annika! Hey Annika, welcome. If you missed it, Annika did a stream earlier today, pro tips on making fonts, which is something I definitely want to go back and revisit at some point. Alright, so I'm going to delete out all this text. So a couple things I did there. I actually deleted out I made a copy of my original sort of layout sketch. And then I just kind of pasted it in front. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make guides here. I'm going to do a couple things first. I'm going to like scale this up a little bit. I'm going to make sure that both of these are square, or, well, not square, but like even. All right, there we go. And then I'm not going to worry about this stuff right now. I'm going to make guides out of this. So right now they're kind of blocked in shapes. I'm going to select all of these. And we're going to make these guides. So you can make guides out of shapes. So we're going to select everything and we're going to go to Object. No, we're going to go to View. I always think it should be under the Object menu, but it's under View, Guides, Make. So now I've made all of my boxes I'm going to use in the guides here. They may be a little bit hard for you to see. Let me change the color. So if you want to change the color of your guides, you can go into Preferences, Guides and Grid, and we're going to change them to a magenta. So now you should be able to see them a little bit better on the stream. Alright, so we've got our main information here. I'm going to start to build these out. But like I said, these are going to be blocking things in. So we blocked in some sections here. We're going to start to kind of chip away at things. But I'm going to use placeholders until we kind of make our images. So there's a couple ways that we can go about tackling our pie chart up here. So the first way we can go about doing this, it wouldn't be my preferred. Oh, you know what? Let's make a new layer. You could use what I feel like I've called it before, the cheese wheel. I think it's called the angle tool or the angle thing inside of an ellipse. So if you make an ellipse, you can create kind of wedges here. The other option is you can actually use some of the graphing tools in Illustrator. So you can see over here, there's a little column graph. And if you click and hold down, you got a bunch of graphing tools in Illustrator. So we're going to start with the pie chart tool. And there's a couple kind of finicky things you need to know about working with the graphing tools in Illustrator. So I'm going to click it, I'm going to drag, and I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to make a shape that's approximately the size. And it's going to open up this little, it almost looks like a little Excel sheet or little sheets. And in here, as long as I go across the top here, each one of these values is going to become a value in my pie chart. So I've got 1, 2, and 3. And you can see here, we've got 1, 2, and 3. And Illustrator is automatically handling the percentages for me. So it's going to kind of make those pie chart shapes for me. You can also import data. So if you had like a CSV, like an Excel document that you saved out as a comma separated values, you can actually import this into Illustrator and you can use that data as well. But I've already got some statistics in here, so I'm just going to go in here. I wish I had this typed up as like a chart, but we're just going to go in here real quickly. I'm going to type in our percentages, so bear with me. All right, so we've got all of our pizza styles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we've got 8 over here in our list. And we're going to close that. Now, it's a little bit tricky because you'll notice that I don't really get a bounding box when I'm working with a pie chart. So there's a couple ways. We can't really scale this up to fill the size we want it to, right? But if you wanted to, you could go to transform and you can use scale. And you could increase the scale this way. It's kind of like a little workaround that I use. The other options you're not going to get, or you're not going to get like a any kind of align tools. And you'll notice it's not really aligning when I click on those. It's kind of, graphs in Illustrator are a little bit kind of unique. I like to try to work with them and keep them live as much as possible before I ungroup them. At some point we're going to need to ungroup this because we're going to need to make this like graphically style it. But for the time being, I'm going to try to keep this as like editable as possible, and we'll make like a copy of it so that we kind of retain our working version of it. Raphael didn't know about this tool in Illustrator. Oh, interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of options in here. So if we right click on our pie chart, we can actually get back into that data. So if we needed to edit it again, there's also some options here for like design. So if you had created like a previous design, so I'll go in here to type. And inside type, actually, you can see this is where we can style. These are our style options for our graphs. So we could kind of get this styled kind of how we want to. I don't actually want to have a legend for this one. I'm going to add kind of all that information, you know, on my own because I want to keep my my pie chart pretty plain. But you could kind of style this if you wanted to. The information about like legends and stuff like that is more and labeling like that. And you can actually go in here and change the graph type as well if you wanted to. From a pie chart to a bar graph or something like that. But if we go into the bar graph, you can see you can set actually the like X and Y, the value axes in here, and some of those settings as well. But we're going to just stick with this for now. And I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to add a white line to the outside of this. I'm going to make it like 3 point. And then we're going to go ahead and these are actually going to be slices of pizza. And so they're all going to have the same fill color. We're just going to kind of like style them differently, if that makes sense. So, no, Apurva is talking about truffles on pizza. That would be a very expensive pizza. All right, so let's go ahead and what I'm actually going to do now, I am going to separate this out. So we're going to hide our graph. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go to Object, and I'm going to ungroup it. Now, when you go to ungroup your graph, it's actually going to give you a warning that once you ungroup it, it's no longer going to be tied to it's no longer going to be a graph object. So it's going to become like just a regular group of paths. So that's fine because we're going to want to style this to be a little bit different. But I made a backup copy here. So if I did need to go back and edit my data, I can do so. All right, so we're going to ungroup this a couple of times because you can see it makes a bunch of groups for us. And then I am going to, let me think, I'm going to actually tilt this a little bit. We're going to play with the placement. We might do something like this with the placement instead of kind of where I had it originally. And then we'll be able to put some statistics over here because on the smaller pie slices, it's going to be difficult for me to fit that information versus over here, I'll be able to put that information kind of on top of these. So I'm just kind of thinking about the placement that I want. And I think it would be fun to have one of these kind of pulled out maybe, like as an individual slice. But I don't really want to add emphasis to it. It would be kind of a fun little option there. I think so anyways. You want that thin slice and call it a pizza noodle. I did see there was an option under my statistics for 5% preferred strips, which I don't even know. Let me know in the chat if you've ever had pizza cut into strips before, because I have never heard of that in my life. Oh, you know what? We're actually going to leave that for now because it's going to make it easier for us as we're styling this to not have it kind of cut up already. All right, so I'm actually going to make another circle here. And then I'm going to put this behind, and that's going to be kind of our crust, I think. And let's go ahead and I'm going to make this wavy using a roughen effect. So we're going to go to roughen. We need to bring this way down to like 0.5% or something like that. And then I'm going to bring the level of detail down. We're going to make it smooth. All right, there we go. Something like that looks good to me. And then I'm actually going to use this pie to, with the Pathfinder, we're going to use a Pathfinder divide. Oh, that doesn't seem to have worked. Oh, you know what? I need to expand this first. All right, so now our path is expanded. We can use the divide, and that's going to give me that edge that I want on my pizza crust that feels a little bit more natural. All right, there we go. I'm going to go, whoop, I deleted the wrong part. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to expand this out. I'm going to make this like our cheese layer. Actually, we need to make our sauce first. What am I thinking? All right. I'm going to make a copy that just has my line work, kind of like this. Then I've got kind of like our data is going to be over top of our pizza. Let's go here. Come on. I'm going to make these round. It's like 5 point. Talking to myself now. Yeah, Raphael's saying we got rectangular pizza here, so we make strips with it. I've seen squares, but I haven't seen strips before. So we're gonna do a couple things here. I'm gonna do another rough end. I'm gonna pull this down. Right? And we'll do a roughen on this. All right, so now we've got a little bit of a pizza going. Now I'm just adding some like shading and detail to this. We'll make this a little bit lighter. We're starting to look like a pizza now. And then we can kind of put our toppings in. All right. I don't love how heavy these lines are, and I don't really love the color either. Let's play around with, maybe we'll try like this darker color. Oh, I need this too. No, I don't. Hang on. What have I done? I think I missed part of this. That's okay. We're gonna grab our pizza here. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. Okay. When I did a divide, it must have divided it all the way up. All right. And maybe I'll lighten this a little bit. I keep wanting to go lighter and lighter with the colors. I'm not going to be too precious about the colors because we have way too much stuff to go on. Raphael says, I love the process, Jack. Really clever. Thank you so much, Raphael. Let me know if anybody has any questions about what I'm doing as I'm working away on all of this. I don't know how this got offset a little bit. Let's make sure we center this on our pizza. All right. And then let's show our guides again. Now we're going to have to move our text down a little bit. Or did we come up with a name? I'm going to go with, I really like this font, but I also kind of like this font. I don't know. I'm very torn. I'm just going to go with this one for now. I really don't like this color. We're going to make this red, and we're going to decide upon that later. All right, we're going to change this to say, what were some of the ones I had? Need to know. We'll put pizza facts or something like that. All right, we're going to start here. Let's see what we got. We got a whole bunch of options. I want to look at it in a couple different styles. I kind of like that too. Now I'm torn. I kind of like the script. Let's see how it looks actually paired with the other font. pizza facts. Kind of like that. Kind of like it. All right, we're gonna make this red. I know, I've changed my mind like 4 times. I like white best. All right, we're gonna go need to know pizza facts. I'm gonna scale this down. I'm gonna figure out how this all lays out here, but right now I'm just kind of experimenting and exploring to see what I like the best. Transform with this with a 3D inflate, and then we're all ready for dinner. Yeah, that would be fun. Maybe we can get to that here in a bit. I'm actually also going to use, instead of using black in all of this, I'm going to use my darkest color. That's just something I like to do. Personally, while I'm working on this kind of stuff. I know I'm being very particular. Kind of tempted to see what this looks like in like a little bit of an arc. Ooh, I like that. I like that. We're gonna go with that for now. And then we're gonna put some of our data up here. I'm thinking maybe like circles. So let me just kind of do one to demonstrate what I'm thinking. And then you can tell me what you think. So we're gonna go with like a circle, like a gold circle or something. Let me make sure I've got all this on the same layer. And then I'm gonna try putting this here. And we're gonna say like, I'm gonna take a look at my percentages. Now this is still in order. So we've got New York, Chicago, California, and this is gonna be Detroit. So Detroit is gonna be 4%. We'll put this inside of this little circle or something like that. And then we can say, whoop. Looks like I accidentally put that inside of the group. Do we need to say Detroit style, or can we just say Detroit? There we go. I'm gonna do something like this. So you're starting to see, I'm starting to like come up with the overall kind of style and establishing some of the design elements that we're going to use kind of throughout this whole thing here. So you'll imagine here, we might need to scale this down a little bit. We'll see. Bring this whole thing, we're going to rotate it again. Again, I'm not very precious about any of this. I'm just kind of playing around with things and seeing what I like. We can say this is going to be our smallest. It's important to check to make sure that what you're doing, like the information, is going to fit on the largest and the smallest. Another trick that I like to do in order to keep spacing consistent is I actually like to have things like either left or right aligned depending on what I'm working on. So if I was working on this this side, if I was putting the numbers over here, I'd have them the paragraph set to the left, and since I'm working on this side, I'm gonna have the paragraph aligned to the right. So let me actually, that'll make sure that I have consistent spacing. If I go down here and I type in here, Detroit. Now, New Haven and Detroit are gonna have the same spacing no matter how I move them. Can you just name the font used for need to know, Font Addict? Oh, yeah. These are all Adobe fonts, and I probably should have put the names next to them, but this one is Sant Elia script. So that's the font I'm using for that. And then for this one, I'm using Mersalt VF. It's a variable font. So all these fonts streams seem to be going so fast and so short. Yes, I know. I'm trying to get like our baseline established here before we get into everything, but I'm actually gonna switch. So we're gonna, we've got our title, we've got kind of like our graph up here kind of started. You can see what I'm going for here. I'm gonna switch down to the styles next. So what I'm gonna do, since I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I've got about 7 different styles, and I don't think we'll do all of them. I think we'll do maybe like the top 4 and the top 4, kind of matching what I have up here. I've got 8 up here. So we're gonna maybe put in some, I'm gonna block these in like I mentioned before about how I'm using kind of like building these blocks for my layout, as well as like carving it out structurally, right? So I'm gonna put down here, this is gonna be my section that's gonna be about popular styles of pizza. So we're gonna bring this down, I'm gonna say popular styles of pizza. And then down here, you can say something like triangle versus square cut. Or we can, I don't know, how do you phrase like triangle versus square cut? But we're gonna use some of the graph options in Adobe Express because I want to show these. They're really cool, and I think they will be perfect for this triangle versus square cut data. So we're gonna hop over to Adobe Express. If we wanted to, let's actually save. We're actually gonna save this on my computer. If we wanted to, we could open this whole file in Adobe Express. Which is what I actually recommend doing once we're done with the infographics. So you can set up those image carousels. So if we go here, maybe I'll open up 2 tabs, and I can kind of pull this file in to show you. So if we start from our content, we could pull this in, and I'm going to edit this AI file. We're going to create a new Express file. And while that's working away, I'm actually going to create a new file here. And if you look, you can actually type in Infographic, and it's actually going to create an infographic that is a page in Express that's 800 by 2000 infographic size. Oh, and it's ready to go. Maybe we don't need to. All right, there we go. So there's our infographic in Adobe Express. It looks like the font is having a little bit of trouble coming over, but let's say we wanted to have our text down here, or I mean our pizza or slices versus the triangles versus squares. I'm actually going to go over and use some of the new infographic tools in Adobe Express. I actually think these are really, really nice the way that they work. So if you go into your elements and you scroll all the way over at the top, all the way over to charts, you can see a whole bunch of chart options here. So we could have made our pie charts right in Adobe Express. Donut charts, these are really cool. They're actually kind of difficult to do in Illustrator, but they are really easy to do in Adobe Express. So maybe I'll demo a couple of these. I actually really like the progress bars in particular. These are really cool. You can just slide this value slider and it's going to change the percentage. We could use one of these charts maybe for the percentages. I was thinking originally we might do these. So do like the, so let me grab one of the progress bars. I was thinking originally we would do, hang on, one of these, so we could go up to, what is this? It's got 75% of people prefer the triangle cut. So I was thinking originally something like this. And then do 15% for square slices. But I don't know, now looking at it, I'm kind of tempted to do one of these and kind of keep that theme going. You can see too, you can very easily switch the type from the top here if you wanted to. But we could bring this up to 75, leave that at 15, and we could actually put like triangles over here and squares over here. So what I'm gonna do, since I want to use this in particular, and we could also change these. So let's go to our fill. Let's make sure we grab our red color, or no, actually, let's grab our tan color. Let's scroll down and let's grab our red for this. All right, so we've got our colors established. Now to bring this into Illustrator, I'm going to download this as a PDF. And I can bring that into Illustrator. So we're going to go over here. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to open this PDF up in Illustrator. I'm going to open up page 2. And say close. And now I can grab this chart. I need to release the clipping mask from Adobe Express. And now we've got our chart over in Illustrator, so we can kind of keep working on this design if we wanted to. So we can say here, I really like this font. Actually, let's put triangle versus square cut. Let's put this right inside of this graph. Something like this. Triangles versus squares. I love that. I'm gonna keep that. Actually, we'll figure it out. And then I'm gonna put on either side of this a visual representation. So we're gonna put like a square over here. Right? And then we'll go over here and we'll put our triangle. I can't believe we're like coming close to the end of our stream already, you guys. Time flies by. I wish that we had like so much more time to go over infographics. We'll have to do this again. All right, we'll do triangles. Scale this down. Squares. And then we're going to do the same kind of a thing. I'm going to take my percentages and we're going to say 75% over here. And we're going to put 15% over here. This looks like a sad and grumpy emoji thinking about pizza. All right. I'd probably bold these. You know, I think for the titles, I'm going to go with a smaller font size. So I'm going to grab the font size from this. Probably use whole numbers. That would help. 31. We'll do 31. There we go. And then I'm going to bold all of these. Let's also make these 31. For consistency, make sure Detroit is spelled correctly. All right. And let's throw some toppings. I worked hard on these toppings. Let's get them on this pizza before the stream ends. We got some pepperonis. Some mushrooms. I forget who said they wanted mushrooms on their pizza. But this is where the fun kind of comes into it. Kind of styling it to make it look like a pizza, right? This pie chart no longer looks like... We've got some eggplants. What about the other 10%? The other 10% way were the, those were the people that like strips. It doesn't, sometimes data actually works that way. It's kind of funny. It'll actually like not equal 100% for whatever reason. But that's how it sometimes works. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. We could go in here too and potentially add like a third item if we wanted to. So we could bring 15 here and then leave 5 kind of down below. That would require a little bit of modification, which we could do with like a little circle here on our graph. We wanted to. And then I would have to use like a divide. So we'll pull this up to like, we can make like a green section maybe. Let me show you. I'm going to do this like super lightning fast speed because we're running out of time. I'm going to merge these. I'm going to cut this. There we go. So now we got 15% squares and then we can put down here 5% for these slices. So I'll have to modify my graph a little bit. So we can go here, we can say, whoop, 15% like squares, and then 5%. I don't really know what to do for strips. I guess just a rectangle. And then we have to change the name of our graph or something like that, but there we go. To admit, infographics never were easy to. Don't forget bananas? Ananas? I'm not sure what you're saying there, Robert. Did I forget a pizza type? Let me know. All right, there we go. So obviously I have some work to do on this infographic. I'm actually probably gonna work on it on my personal stream this Friday on Behance. So if you want to see how this all kind of shakes out, and we can kind of like put together the rest of this infographic. I need to spread these toppings out. Ain't nobody getting all these toppings on one pizza. Oh, pineapple. I did make a little pineapple. Look, you guys, it's so cute. It's actually one of the least favorite toppings on pizza, unfortunately. But that's all the time that we have for today. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you had fun making infographics with me. If you create one of your own, please share it with me on social media. I'd love to see it. But stick around, we've got more live streaming content up next after me on Graphic Design Tuesday, and I will see you all again next time. Bye, everyone!